Hello there. We're going to start in about 1 minute. We're just going to wait for people to come in. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. My name is Ian, and we're going to be starting in about 1 minute. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute. Hope everyone is having a good morning and or evening. Great to see you too. Let's just get this going. Good morning. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute. Hope everyone's been enjoying the session so far. Hope everything's been going well. So this is for anyone who's interested in how to upgrade their Google Sheets game, and specifically, as I sarcastically put in the title, but also quasi-realistically, how to make sure you can use some sheet functions to better organize not just your marks, but also your hair. So again, we're going to be starting in about 1 minute. Starting in about 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'm a little wowed too that I'm doing this. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. So my name is Ian. For anyone who is either watching live or catching the stream after the fact, my name is Ian, and I am a Google certified trainer based in Toronto, Canada. I just want to say a big thanks to Nate for inviting me to take part in this. It's really exciting. Now, it is a little bit early, and I didn't wake up early enough to fix the lighting situation, so apologies. It looks like I have like glow lights just moving around behind me. Of course, it didn't want to work for me early in the morning. I'm also going to try to keep my personal volume down a little low so I don't wake up anybody else because it's 6 a.m. here, but I'm super excited to get this presentation started. And we're going to start in about 1 minute to just allow I said 1 minute a second ago, and I'm always told I say 1 minute as this arbitrary measurement of time and never appear to follow up on it. So we're going to be focusing today on Google Sheets, and specifically, what are some functions in Google Sheets that will really help you better organize your marks, and also sarcastically, as I said, organize your hair. So what I'm looking at right now, we haven't had too many people join the live stream, which is totally fine. So what I'm going to do, I am going to start the presentation, and I am going to be going through a series of tips and tricks for what you can do with Google Sheets to really help. The assumption being that a lot of people are going to catch this afterwards, after the fact that it has gone live, which is totally fine. So we're going to get into this. Okay, so the first question I have before we get into this is, does Google Sheets make you do this? A lot of people often tell me that. I feel personally, in the past, I've looked at Google Sheets and I've had this exact reaction. Or does Google Sheets make you do something like this? Whoops, I skipped ahead a little bit too much there. The moral of the story is, if you feel that, yes, this is one of those things that really stresses you out, then this is a session that's going to be great for you. I'm gearing it towards beginner learners in Google Sheets. There's also going to be at the very end some functionalities for more advanced learners that I'm going to be throwing in there. Exactly, yeah, exactly. So I'm just responding to the comments in the chat. And this is something that would help you, exactly to Nate's point. I'm just following along in the chat. Will help you to really prepare for the Google Certified Shaver Level 1 exam, but also in a practical sense, it'll really help you personally be able to use Google Sheets in a much more effective way to just help with how you want to organize your information. A little bit about who I am before I get into the session. I'm presently a middle school teacher based in Toronto, Canada. I actually taught virtually this entire past school year. So our school year had an option to teach online or teach in person, and I volunteered to actually teach online this past summer. And going into the school year, I'm also, as I mentioned already, a Google certified trader. And before that, I worked for several not-for-profits, including the YMCA of Greater Toronto here in Canada. And I also worked for a charity called, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. This is where you're supposed to remember your presentation talking points before you get into it. As a part of my role in both of those organizations, what I also did is I implemented some data collection and organization systems. This specifically touched on what people would do in Microsoft Excel. So I was using pivot tables quite a while ago. I was using a lot of advanced sort functions a long time ago, and I was really excited to see Google Workspace, what's now Google Workspace, what used to be called Google Suite, up the functionality within Google Sheets progressively as time goes on, because I'm seeing a lot of amazing ways I can organize information, which far exceed what I was ever able to do. And so for anyone else following this from Canada, it was Canada Day yesterday, so it's July 1st. So anyone celebrating Canada Day, happy Canada Day to you. And lastly, about myself, so I've always loved computers. This is a picture. I don't exactly know how old this picture is. I think I was like one. No, that is a quite old computer, as you can tell. Look at it, the size of that power button. It is humongous. But this is me way, way, way back. And that's a little bit about myself before I get into the presentation. So where you can find me, I linked my Twitter here, and I've also provided my the name of the YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, which we're on today, isn't overly active. I found that at parts during the school year, I'm able to upload videos that focus more on how do I support students and their colleagues. But generally, I'm much more active on Twitter, and you can find me there. This presentation that we're going through today, I'm also going to be providing at the end a link to this presentation. So if you want to have access to it at a later point, you can definitely get access to this presentation. Okay, so what I did want to send out, let me just organize it a little over here, a little introductory survey. Okay. Why is my mouse not going where I want it to go? There we go. So I'm just going to drop this in the chat right now. So this introductory survey, what it is kind of me getting an idea for who else is here. And where are you coming from in terms of your skill level with Google Sheets? What are some questions you may have? So again, this is focused specifically on anyone who's joining us live. So anyone joining us live, let me put this in the chat. Boom. There it goes. So feel free to fill that out. I'm going to be looking at the results here, and those lights flashed. That was interesting. And I'm going to give you about a minute to fill that out. Okay, so I'm going to give you about a minute to fill that out. I'm just going to wait here as you're filling it out. Okay, let me just do that. And also I find I'm always doing anything at the last minute. So there's one thing that Nate suggested I do, which was actually keep an eye on the stream as I'm presenting, and I'm just going to do that right now. I forgot to log into YouTube and have that done. So while you're filling out that introductory survey, so introductory survey I just dropped into the live chat. That's available to you. Anyone who's of course watching this after the fact, unfortunately the survey won't provide me the information to support. So again, I'm going to drop that again in the chat. There's a link to the introductory survey. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to finalize that, to input the information there. And again, what am I trying to do right now is figure out where you're coming from, what questions you have, and how can I help? Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to finish that out. I know I say a minute all the time. I got to come up with a new sequitur. So fill that out. So give you about a moment to do that. And what I should have done, which I didn't think through, I should have had some smooth jazz music playing right now. That would have been great. Great. Awesome. All right. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for filling that out. Okay, so let's get going, my friends. So here's today's learning path. So I like to kind of organize where I'm going to be going in a training from steps 1 to 10, or what's 1 to 10, or in this case 1 to 4, to really think through where this is going. So the first thing we're going to look at is some pretty basic sort functions. I know they're called basic. It's not meant to be derogatory for anyone that's not familiar with them. It's more just the introductory skills that you can learn in Sheets. The next thing we're going to move on to is how to do some charts and graphs. We're then going to look at what I'm going to call summary pages and how you're going to bring stuff across a single sheet. And then finally, at the very end, we're going to be looking at how to link data between completely different documents. And for those of you that are really looking for the more challenging, the challenging part, that is where this is at the very end. So again, we're starting with some more basic introductory skills, and then we're going to conclude it at the end with how to move data between sheets. So let us start with the first one, which is sorting data in sheets. So what I have, what I have provided here, and let me just drop this in the chat. So I'm going to put this in the chat. So this is one that you can, anyone who's following along, you're welcome to you create a copy of this document, and it's a forced copy that I provided there, and you can actually do this yourself. So let me open up my version of it. Here we go. And let's make sure that's nice and big, because I'm looking at it and it is not very big. Okie dokie. So I'm going to give everyone about a moment so they can give everyone a moment in order to pull up this the forced copy that you've been provided, and you can have a look at that. So again, anyone who's watching this after the fact, I am going to be providing in the description of the video a link to the presentation, so you'll have access to all of these documents, so you can actually go back and do this yourself later. Okay. So again, the first thing we're going to be looking at is how to sort the information. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is a little faux pas or just a little flub that can happen. Now, if I'm looking here, let's say I want to sort all this information by last name. So some people right away are going to click the column and they're going to go right click, sort A to Z, boom, we have a problem. The problem is that when I did this sort, the word last name, starting with an L, automatically ends up inside the sort function. So it ends up boom, right here in the middle. That is not what we want to have happen. So there's a few ways to go around this. What I like to do, and I'm going to show you what I do all the time, is I'm going to click that first row. I'm going to highlight the first row. I'm going to click view. So again, I click that first row there. I'm going to click view. I'm going to click freeze, and then I'm going to freeze the top row. By freezing the top row, that basically prevents it from moving around. Now, this is not required. I just like it personally because no matter where I am on the sheet, I'm always going to see this information. Now, what I've provided for you here is just a list of random names and marks that I've collected from a class. Right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now, I want to sort by last name. But as you notice here at the bottom, I have this little button for this little option for class average. What I want to do though, I don't want to include that in my sort. So I'm just going to be highlighting what I want to include. So I'm going 53 all the way up here. And then I'm going to write. And then once I've selected what I want, I'm going to sort. And it says sort range. So sort range means that you're sorting within here, and then you're going to pick which range you want to sort from. So in this case, I can sort from column A, which is the last name. I can sort by column B, which is the first name, or I can pick any of these columns and I can sort. In this case, what I want to do is I want to sort by column A. So again, looking at what we had here, we had this random collection of names. Now, realistically, you really should never put names in this order. But if you do, you do. In this case, what I'm doing is that I'm sorting it specifically on last name. Here we go. Boom. Now we have the entire class here organized and sorted. Next thing I want to look at is figuring out some average marks. So what is the average mark that the students are getting in this assignment? So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be highlighting all the average marks. I'm actually going to go one down. I'll explain why. So I'm highlighting all the marks for this assignment. And then I'm going to click, see over here, there's a functions button. There's a functions button here. I'm going to click that functions button and I'm going to go for the average. Now, what I did, as you noticed, is that I highlighted all the way from the top all the way down to here. The reason I highlighted this one is just a little trick to make this a little bit easier for yourself. You do not have to highlight this one. What you can do, you can leave it here. But if I were to highlight here, what it does is the sort function goes right below. Boom, it's there. But then what you can do is you can take that result, pick it up. Of course, it's not moving for me like I want to. So I'm going to do cut and paste and put it there. But again, like what I like to do is I just highlight all the way down, even though there's a blank cell there, highlight all the way down, hit the functions, and then hit the average button. And of course, it's freezing on me, boom, and it's there. Now, once you've done this, what you can actually do to make your life a little easier, because everything here is on the same row and you want to do the same sort function, you can just go across, right? So you can go across. What do I mean by that? You can copy. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I agree 100%. Copy here. I'm now selecting the cell immediately to the right, and I'm going to paste in there. Oh, there we go. Copy and paste in there. Now, what's happening, just to show you a little bit, I don't want to get into too much of the nitty gritty because it's just a little bit boring and maybe not of interest to everyone. In this sheet, what it's doing is it's showing you the range, the values that it's looking for. You have C2 all the way to C20. What it automatically does as you copy and paste, it changes the C's into the D's, the C's meaning the columns. This is column C, this is column D. Now we're moving here, this is column E. So as I move across, what I can do is copy and paste, and it automatically knows what I want. The last thing I want to do here is figure out a student average. So I'm going to select all of these. And because I'm going horizontally this time, it knows to fill the cell immediately to the right. Fill the cell right here is where I want this data to go. So again, I'm going to click the functions button here. I'm going to do average, and I'm going to do enter. Now, this is brand new. This has only been here, I forget exactly when. This is one of my favorite things. This is called suggested autofill. Now, what I have noticed, though, it only happens when you're doing functions horizontally. Maybe I'm missing something, or there's something I need to turn on. But right now, what it's doing, what it's telling me is, hey, we know you just did an average horizontally, where you average these marks, 75, 74, 67, 67. We see, looking down this sheet, all of these here also have, each of these cells have different marks that are available. Do you want to do that too? And it's showing you exactly what it's going to do. It's called suggested autofill, which is fantastic. When I saw this one day, I was super excited. Oh my God, yeah, it's brand new. This is brand new. This just came out. This just came out. I think I saw it the first time like a month ago. I'm gonna click that button. It's done. So again, what did I do? I started to go in here, suggested autofill populates, and it gives me all of my marks going all the way down. Bingo, bango, it's done. Fantastic. Now, what you now have here, now what I didn't do it in percents, and I'll show you why, because what you're supposed to do if you do it in percents is start with 0.0. So for example, if I want to do a mark like 75%, I would need to do 0.75, because right now, if I were to put percents on this, it's going to look at it, it's going to turn it into, it's going to do it at a function of 100. So sorry, not to get too nitty gritty. Basically, if you want to use percents, you want to start with percent. So if I were to create a cell here, if I were to click percent and I click 75, it would be okay. But if I write 75 and then after put percents, it then makes it 7,500. So I know it looks a little bit funky, and it was kind of my fault because when I set up this sheet, I didn't do it properly. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't really bother to like go back and fix it in the end. I just kind of let it be. But in the future, you can definitely go in and make sure that you prepare this beforehand. Now, the next thing I was going to show you really quick is how to do weighted marks. So what I did, I have the same class here. Let me just organize this properly first. So again, I've highlighted the area I want to sort. I'm going to do a right click. I am going to, oh no, I have to sorry, don't select the rows. So don't select the rows as I did. What I'm selecting is all the data. So I'm selecting all the data. I'm going to click this here, sort by range. And this is where, again, column A is the column where I have last name. So I'm going to click that and sort. Boom, everything's there. Now, what I've done in the past is I like to give weighted marks. What do I mean by weight is, you know, maybe this assignment number one, this assignment is an essay. Okay, it's a pretty big assignment. This assignment number two, maybe it's like a mini quiz. And assignment 3 is a test. Assignment 4 is, let's call it a quiz, right? Now, there's all sorts of different ways you can do this. One thing that I like to do for weighting it is basically after the fact I give a mark, I determine how much this assignment is worth in terms of a weighted scale. Okay. Now, I might say that this essay, I actually want it, I want the point value to be a little bit higher. Okay. So I want the point value to be 1.25. Okay? And we'll explain more in a second what that means. This mini quiz is not really worth that much. It's little, so I'm just going to make it 0.2. Here, let's look at this test. This test is worth a lot. I want it worth 2. And then finally, the quiz. Quiz isn't that much, just make it 0.5. Now, again, this is just a way you can kind of modify the marks that go into your mark book. But again, this is totally optional. This is not required. This is just a little function that I like to use. What I'm then going to do is I'm then going to select this, and I want it to go the whole way down. So I'm going to take this, making sure I have the blue highlighted, and in the bottom right corner, I have that square. I'm going to pull this all the way down. It just copied it all. Okay. Let's go again, copy this down, all the way down, boom. Again, pull this all the way down, boom. Here, all the way down, and boom. Fantastic, that's all there. Now, what I want to do is I want to then create a weighted mark. What do I mean by a weighted mark? What is this mark actually going to work in relation to the weighting? Now, again, this is a really random function. We can get into the semantics of how do you weight things later pedagogically. I'm going to kind of leave that up to you and to your judgment. This is just something I like to do in terms of to modify what I have. So I'm going to do a weighted mark. I'm going to this. So we select the cell of the mark, which is 75%, and we're going to times it by the weight. Now again, boom, suggested autofill is right there. This is beautiful. Whoever created this at Google, 100,000, a million appreciations from me. This saves so much time. And of course, I'm clicking things too quick and I take it away. Let's do that again, weighted mark, boom, times here. Suggested autofill, love it. Boom, test mark times the weight. Yes. Oops, daisies. Let's try that again. This is test mark times the weight. Enter. Oh, of course. Oh, now what happened there? So because I denied the suggested autofill, it then doesn't populate after the fact. So because I accidentally clicked the X on it, it's not there. So what I'm just going to do in this case, I'm just going to copy. So I'm copying this cell, and then I'm highlighting everywhere I want it to go, and I'm pasting. Now, what I'm pasting isn't the number, it's the formula. So as you can see here, I3, I4, J4, so it's moving. So it's basically what the autofill is doing, just not as pretty. Finally, over here, boom, times here, and let's make sure I actually click yes this time. Yes, right. Now these are all the weighted marks, right? And that's just a little way you can weight marks. Now the only problem when you're doing a weighted mark is how to get the final average, which I'm just looking at the time right now on the session. I don't think I'll be able to get into it too much. But what I tend to do is like award points and provide a total number of points. You can have weighted marks. Now, again, I'm not going to get into how to do that whole formula. It's going to get a little bit messy at this point, but I just wanted to show you have that option. The reason why I like weighted marks is that basically, like, let's say I have an assignment that maybe should only be worth 50 points, so that 90% on a 50-point assignment will be worth less than an assignment that's worth 100 points, right? Some people I know like to do it the old traditional way where they figure that out beforehand. I'm a little silly where I've organized it this way and I come up with this weighted mark system. Oopsie daisies, don't want to see that screen. It's okay, go away tabs. Okay, right. So a few things just to look back on what we've done so far. I'm gonna put the sucker over here, oopsie daisies. So I don't know if you can see it on there. Oh no, good. Oh, you can. Yep. You're going away. That's embarrassing. Moving on. Okay. So to kind of look through again what we've done already. How do I make this thing go away again? This is that moment in the middle of the presentation. Turn, minimize using generic effect doc preferences. Turn hiding on. There we go. There it is. That's gone. Okay. Fantastic. It's funny. So I just recently got a Mac. So I knew at some point during the presentation, thought it was going to be the darn mouse that was going to mess me up. Of course, it's that little bar at the bottom, right? So again, a few things that we've looked at just to review. We've looked at how to sort by last name. We have that here. We looked at how to sort by, so how to then do class averages for assignments. We looked at how to do personal averages using that sort autofill. This is something you can use throughout in different assignments. And here are some finished examples that I provided. What I always like to do is just make it a little bit pretty at the top. Well, not necessarily pretty, but just have that like that gray bar at the top or a different color that signifies I am where I am. And I have a bunch of marks here. Okay, so that's some basic whoopsie daisies. So when I make a mistake, then I get all nervous and I'm just like, what's the next mistake I'm going to be making? Right? So let's look here at what we were doing. So we've looked at how to sort sheets alphabetically, numerically, how to average more. Oopsie daisies. All right, because this mouse is funny. I got one of these new Mac mouses, and when I accidentally flip to the left, it flips to the left. So I got to be careful with my fingers. How to assign averages. We're now going to be looking at creating graph charts, graphics from the data, and we looked at how to weight marks already, but we're going to look at creating charts and graphics. Sorry, that's supposed to be just here. So moving on to create some charts and graphics, we're going to keep using the previous sheet that you were working on. And what we're going to be doing specifically is how to basically take some of this information and chart it. Okay. So skills that we're going to be learning is create it within sheets. How do you actually create these charts? And then after you've created the charts, how are you going to link it to your slides presentation? So here, let's look at our geography mark. Okay, we have our class average. Okay? Now, what we want to do for the class average is we want to basically, let's say we want to have a scatter plot, like we kind of want to see where the marks are. What we're going to do is we're going to select everything here. So what I've done right now is I've picked a different class. I've gone to geography. So here I'm in geography. So what did I do at the bottom? I have different tabs for different classes. We have geography right here. I have the average mark highlighted, and then I have all of the marks highlighted. And what I want to do, insert, we're going to insert and we're going to create a chart. Okay, so we're going to create a chart right here. Boom. Now, right away, it's going to show you some different ways you can create a chart. Now, what I like to do, I'm a huge fan of scatter plots. Here we go. And we have that here, right? So what is it doing right now? It's doing a few things. So as we can see here, at the top, it's that average mark. And I'm going to talk about how it got to that. And here underneath, it has the student's average marks. Now, you don't see any names. Now, first off, I think maybe it's sometimes good to not show the names for students because they don't necessarily want to see that. But I'll show you how you could show the names if you chose to. But again, I think it's also often a good idea to keep that. Yeah, with social studies classes. And you can show these scatter plots of kind of where the marks land so they understand where their classmates are. Now, again, so to go back and do that again, let's undo that. What did I do? I'm selecting everything in the G. So I started here, I'm going all the way down. By selecting the word average, even though average is not a number, what it's going to do for you is it's going to give the title that name automatically because Google Sheets is super, super smart. They know exactly what they're doing. So I've selected it all. I'm going to click insert. I'm then going to insert a chart. And then here I have my options. I really like scatter plots for this. Here, boom, it's there. Now, as it's saying right here in this area, it's saying there's nothing on the x-axis. X-axis meaning the bottom row. We have this here on the y-axis, like we have the average mark on the y-axis, but we don't have the x-axis. Now, if you wanted to include this information for whatever reason, whether it's students, whether it's in the chart, or whether it's something else, you can do that. Exactly. For school reports, it's super, super, super helpful. And so I'm happy to hear that you're reading this already because what I'm going to get to in the next I'm actually going to increase my speed a little bit because I'm going way too slow. I'm going to show you a way to actually bring things together between completely different Google Sheets. Okay. So x-axis, maybe you want to include the names here. When I'm going to click x-axis. I'm then going to click here, select a range, and I want this here. So I've selected here to go on the x-axis, and boom, you have all of the student names on the bottom. aligning with their marks. Now, again, I don't advise you try this out with students live, showing them the average marks, depending on where you are, might be unmotivating or extra motivating. I try to anonymize this data as much as I can whenever I share it. But again, how did I do that? Looking back here, I'm just going to delete this here, remove. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. My mistake, sorry. So click add x-axis. We're going to click select data range. And what I forgot to select was first name, sorry. And boom, we're going to select all of that. Boom. And there we go. Sorry, I missed the name. So you do have to select the top. The reason why you have to select the top is that over here, I selected average mark. So I need to do that there. Yeah, for students attendance online classes. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah. And then we have that there. Now, the fun thing with this is that you can actually take this and bring it into your presentation. All you need to do is just copy it. So I've selected this here. You can copy chart, or you can do Control C. In my case, on this Mac, it's Command C. I'm just going to come to this presentation really quick. You can paste it. Of course, it's not pasting because there we go. Now, this comes up. Link to spreadsheet. This means as the data changes, this will update. Okay, so I'm just going to put this here. I'll leave that there for you. Okay, so I have linked the two. What I want to do right now, really, really quick, just do something super random. Let's customize this sucker a little bit. What should I change? Let's make it really simple. Actually, let's go back here. Let's just change this from being a scatter plot to a, here, it requires 3 columns. Don't have 3 columns. Let's go from a scatter plot to being, I should have picked this out before. Let's just do a little line graph. I know line graph doesn't really represent things all that well, or here we go. Yeah, let's do a quick line graph. Boom, that's all there. It's not really a good thing to use in this case, but we're just going to move on. That's not really the purpose of this. I'm now going to go back to the slideshow presentation. I'm back in the slideshow, and you're going to notice right here, that update button just appeared. You're like, oh, what's that? Badunk. Back in the day, when you had Microsoft Office products, you used to have to manually re-import this every time. This is not the case with Google Sheets. I know I'm not here to knock Microsoft Office. I just think back to my days when I was using Excel. It was not this clean. It was not this easy. So let's redo that again. So what do I have here? I'm going to select the sheet. I'm going to click the hamburger on the top right. I'm going to copy it. You can also click Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. You then come back to the sheet you want to be in. You're going to paste it, and yes, keep it linked. Paste that sucker there. Put that up there. Boom, it is there. Now I want to change this back to a scatter plot. So I've now returned back to the Google Sheet. I'm in the Google Sheet itself. Chart type, I want this to be a scatter plot. Let's go. Now here I've now changed it into, sorry, I went a little bit too quick there. I'm in the Excel, so in the Google Sheet, I've changed it to a scatter plot, and I now return to the Google slide, and I also want it to be a scatter plot. So I click the update button, and it's there. Again, easy way. Registration. No, you can just follow along. Like again, if you do get the vouchers, sorry, and what Nate's talking about is you do get the opportunity to get free level 1 exam vouchers, but I don't believe you need to register. But Nate's the expert on these things, so I'm going to defer to him. He's the one who knows more about the back end logistics. Okay, so again, now looking where we are, I got to increase my speed a little bit. I am going way too slow. We put this in here. I'm going to delete that for now, and we're going to move on. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is a summary page. So I'm going to show you what I mean by summary page in a second. But by summary pages basically mean, how do you make a page where you're bringing everything from different sub-tabs within Google Sheets into one? Okay, so the goals, I'm going to duplicate a tab in Sheets, and I'm going to import data. So I'm now returning back to this original sheet that we've been working on. What I am going to do just for now, I'm going to delete this chart. Oh, wait, no, just delete. Oh, of course, it's delete chart button. I'm also going to delete the one where I did weighted just for now because it gets a little messy. Yeah, exactly. I'll drop the form in the chat too. Yeah. Let me get that for you, Tim. Get that ready in a moment. So what I want to do is I want to basically take all of these average marks, the ones that I have for English, the ones you have for math, the one I have for science and geography, and I want to have a one-stop shop where all of that stuff is. Now, you can do this by manually uh, copying the data in, or you can do a duplicate sheet functions. What I mean by that, I'm going to click any of these that I want to copy. What do I want to copy? I want to copy the names. I want to copy the alphabetization. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. I'll drop it in. We'll drop it in the chat for you. Let me get it. I'll get that ready for you in a minute. So for English, math, science, or geography, what I want to do, I want to keep the name alphabetization and all the names there. I'm just going to click geography because it's here. There's a downward facing chevron. Click that sucker, duplicate. Boom. What did I just do? See, it says copy of geography, and then go back and do that again. Boom, duplicate. The reason I'm duplicating this is I want the names. I don't necessarily want the marks, but I want the names, okay? Now, all the names are here. What I'm then gonna do is I'm gonna delete this. Boom, and boom. Now, I know what some of you are saying is, hey, Ian, you could just make a new sheet and name it. Yeah, you could. So you can go new sheet, and I'm gonna call this sheet summary. And then you can copy everything here and paste it there. You can totally do that too. I just really like the duplicate function for several reasons. Number one, in this case, what it does is it keeps this formatting that I have at the top. It has the freeze on the top row. It keeps all that for me. So again, what am I doing right now? I'm making a summary. So Mark's summary. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be naming each column. Yeah. And we're going to be naming them moving across the top. Okay, so number one, we're going to have English, we have math, science, geography. My goal right now is I'm trying to pull the information I've collected in the different sheets and put it into one place. Okay, so I want to first get the mark summary average. So the average for English, I'm going to do equals here at the top. So right now I'm in cell C2. I'm going to do equals. I'm going to then go back to English. And then I'm going to do equals C2, and it's there. So let's do that again really quick. Equals. I then go to the English tab. Now, right now, it's not letting me click C2 because that's where it is. So I clicked one under, and then I went up to C2. So you have English, then the exclamation mark, C2 for the cell. Boom, it's right there. Now, I want this to be repeated throughout. So I'm going to copy. And look at that. Before I even did anything, the suggested autofill. So what I did, I clicked copy. I went down one, and Google Sheets knew that I wanted to do this. What it then does, it takes it all. So C2, C3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's do the same thing for math. We're going to go equals. I'm going to click math. And again, because it's the cells where I'm working on, it's a little bit hidden. I don't want to get into too much nitty gritty. So I went one down, and then I clicked my arrow key to go up. Boom, it's there. And then I'm going to click copy. I'm going to go down, and boom, my favorite thing. Whoever put this in there, my favorite person in Google Sheets, the Google Sheets team right now, copy. Now, one way you can actually do this a little bit quicker, and this is how I like to do it. I'm copying, I have the formula here. So the formula shows you everything you need. What it's saying, it's coming from the math sheet, exclamation mark, and the cell. So I want to go to science sheet. It just did the same darn thing. Boom, looking, we have a 70 here in science. And, oh, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I was not showing you the averages. I was giving you the assignment. So let me go back and delete all of this. I got so excited. I did the wrong thing. Equals, what do I want? The average. So I click that cell. Boom. Let's do that again. Copy, suggested autofill. Let's do that again here. Math, average, boom. Copy, paste, suggested autofill. Now, what was I going to show you is here. So I'm copying this function here. What it is it's just basically saying the first word is what tab. So I want to pull this from the science tab. I put in science, suggested autofill there. So it's going to save me a little bit of time. I don't have to move between the sheets. Now, this is totally optional. This is totally optional. but I just like to do that because it saves me some time. Boom, this is autofill. So here, now I have a mark summary page. What do I mean by that mark summary page? Is that I basically have one stop shop to look and see their marks. So let's look at our friend Linda Brown right here. Linda Brown right now is an 87 in geography. But if let's say assignment, this comes in and she gets 100, that changes to 94, mark summary, 94, and it's all linked. Oh my gosh, exactly. This suggested autofill is the most amazing thing ever. Okay, so I'm just running up against the clock right here. And when I'm running against the clock, I get nervous and I start talking a little bit too fast. I'm trying to work against my inner instinct. And we're gonna get you to the last part of this presentation, which is kind of the climax of what we're looking at today. We're going to be linking data between sheets. We're going to be linking data between sheets. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, the easiest thing for me to do, and I meant to do this, I said I was going to do this at the end of the presentation, but I'm just going to do this now. I am dropping this in the chat. This is the link to the presentation. Okay, so that's the link to the presentation. What you can do if you go to slide 14, on slide 14, you can actually make your own copies of everything that I'm about to be working on. So we have these 4 different sheets that we're going to be looking at, and specifically the goal is we're going to be bringing data between them. Okay? So I'm going to close this here. I'm going to open up the sheets. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's open these all up and make sure they're a little bit organized. 2, 3, and 4. So what do I have here? I have 3 classes. I have class A and all of their marks. I have class B and all of their marks. And I have class C and all of their marks. No worries. Good luck, Nate. Good luck in your, I'll drop in. I'll check out your presentation. I'm excited to see it. So what I then have this here, I have this master sheet that I want to basically bring everything into because I want to be able to look at my 3 different classes at the same time. Okay, so here we go. Here we have class A, class B, and class C. Now, the first thing that I don't know why I didn't put this in already, but I'm just going to do that there. I don't know why I didn't do this yet, but I'm just going to put this in here. And what I want to do is I want to bring all of this together into one sheet, right? Because right now we have it all over the place and I want it to be in one place. So we're going to be looking at my favorite thing ever in Google Sheets. This is the import range function, which is I'm going to show you here. I'm going to drop this in the chat as well. And I'm going to paste it there. Boom. And I'm going to show you what our goal is right now. So our goal right now with import range is how we're going to import and link data from different Google Sheet documents. And we're going to talk a little about limitations and benefits of this approach. So I basically want to have one sheet. I want this one sheet here, and I want everything in that one sheet. I don't want to have to travel around. So what I'm going to do again, so I dropped the function in the chat. I'm going to do equals import range. Okay. The good thing about Google Sheets suggests it to you. I'm going to do open bracket. I'm then going to do the quotation mark. Quotation mark, super, super important. Do not forget it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the URL from the first sheet, paste it in, and then close, making sure you have those quotations on either side. I'm then going to do a comma. Now, what I need to do is look at the sheet itself and decide which information I want. But before that, again, I need to do another open quotation mark. So I selected this sheet, and this is the summary page. So I want this information to come from the summary page. So I'm going to write summary page, exclamation mark, and now I'm going to select where I want the data. I want all of this. I want all this data here. So I'm going to go from A2 all the way to G20, A2 to G20. So again, A2 to G20, and I'm going to walk through this again. So first thing I did, I typed in import range. I'm then going to go in and I'm going to put in within quotation marks, the URL, which is this up here. I need that URL. Next thing I'm going to do, going back here, comma, another quotation mark. Which tab do I want? Because in the case of some sheets, you might have different tabs. You need to click the tab you want, which in this case is summary page. Next thing I need to do, so I keep clicking the wrong darn thing, exclamation mark, and it separates it. And then you need to pick the range. Where is this data coming from? You want it coming from A2 all the way to G20. Boom, 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 it's there, and then I'm going to click enter. Now, the first thing that might pop up as you're doing, you're going to get this ref function. Don't worry, that's okay. What it's basically doing is saying, do you want to connect the data between the sheets? And I'm like, heck yeah, I want to connect that data. Allow access. Boom, it's there. So what did I do again? I had import range. I am drawing all the information in. Now, I want to do that with all of these classes. Okay, so I want to do the same things. Let's go again. Equals import range. Yep, exclamation mark. Copy that. Put that sucker in. Then what am I doing? This is what's called summary page. Exclamation mark, and it's A2 to G20. Close that off. Boom. And again, it's going to get this reference come up. Yes, I want to allow access. What you can do in this case, what I'm actually going to do in the last one, I'm going to cheat to make it easier. I'm going to copy this whole formula. I'm going to paste the formula in, and all I'm going to do is change the URL for class C. Let's look at this here. Paste that in, class C. Oh. Yes, ref, allow. Okay, now, while this is beautiful, there are some very clear limitations in this. There are some very, very clear limitations in this. What do I mean by that? In a normal sheet function, like we looked over here, we're able to sort the data. So let's say I want to sort this data. Say I want to sort this data by who got the highest mark in English. I can sort that, right? In this case, it's the lowest mark, but you know where I'm going with. So you can sort the data. Now, you're not going to be able to do this so easily here. What do I mean by that? Is that because it's coming in clumps with import range, it basically clusters it together. Now, I'm sure there's a way around it, but I just haven't figured it out yet. So let's say I want to organize everything by last name. I'm going to click last name. I'm going to do sort A to Z. Oh, boom, it messed it up a little bit. Because I was moving it around, it actually took away the import range functionality for two of the documents I'm linking from. So that got a little bit messy. Let's say I try to sort by English. Let's try this one too. Sort by English. Oh, again, it all got a little bonkers. The reason being is because you're bringing information from completely different Google Sheets documents, they're crashing into each other, and it's just not allowing you to sort it the way you would. Some people might say to me in response to that, why don't you just copy and paste it? The trick with copying and pasting the data in is that you're going to have to continually modify and update the data as it's going, or do it cell by cell. There's some longer explanations that I'm not going to get into today, but there's some ways where you can basically take this information, copy it into another sub-tab, and then modify the data and move it around. But we just don't have the time to get into that today. But this is just a really basic import range function, not basic, but the introductory import range function, which gets average marks into ranks, like in terms of how to arrange the marks, like you're saying, like the highest mark to the lowest mark. Yeah, of course. Let me go back and do that one right now. But again, in this case, because I'm doing import range, you can't do that. The other thing that's going to happen is, let's say I look at Thomas. I try to delete Thomas. I'm clicking delete. It's not deleting. The reason it's not deleting is that all the information is coming from this cell here, which is the import range cell. So again, it's good. Import range is great to bring it together, but it doesn't functionally allow for easy organization. Now let's do this again. How do you arrange the average marks into ranks? So let's do this right now. So let's go to any random class. So let's go here. And what I want to do, there's a few different ways you can do this. What I tend to do, oopsie daisies, that's too much clicking for me. What I like to do, I always forget where it is on this chart here, because I always do it here. Okay. We're going to sort columns, sort range. So let me, backtrack a little bit. So the question is that how do you sort these, how do you arrange the marks into ranks? So for example, let's say I want to see in class C, who's doing the best in geography, right? So I'm going to select geography. I'm going to sort by sort range. Oops. Sorry, I'm going to this geography. I'm going to sort, and it's doing it upside down, right? Because they have to go like this. Sort Z to A. There's another way around this, which I forget off the top of my head, but that's the shorter way. So let me just do that again a little slower. Sorry, I'm bumping around right now. So what did I do? I selected a class. Okay, so I select the class here. I have class C in this case, and I want to see who has the highest mark in geography. I'm going to select the column, and then right click it, and I'm going to do sort. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I always just find this is the quickest way to do it. You're actually sorting backwards alphabetically, gives you the ranks numerically, and that's going to give you that. So you can see right away who's got the best mark in geography. Now let's switch over to science, click the column, right click, this comes up, and again, sort Z to A, and that's going to give you the rank there. And that'll allow you to quickly look at this. Now, as you see, it's going to move it dynamically based upon the sort function that you request. What you can do as well, if you wish, is you can create a pivot table, which that's a more advanced skill and allows you to sort it in a lot prettier fashion, but we're not going to get into pivot tables today. That takes a lot longer. Okay? So we're going to start to wrap things up here. So a few just with the import range function, a few things to just really keep your eye out for is just be really careful with those quotation marks. Make sure you get them in. I have messed up many pivot tables by completely forgetting to include the quotation marks. I'm just like smacking my head on the wall, like, what did I do wrong? Right, it's the darn quotation mark. So don't forget those. Those are super, super, super important to get it done. Okay. Now, concluding survey. So we're just wrapping up here. So let me get that. So what I'm going to send your way right now, and this is what Nate was mentioning before. I'm just going to pull this up. So this is the Google form. And with this, you are entered. This is, I believe, where Nate was mentioning you're entered into the draw. Sorry if I'm messing up this information, but there we go. Boom. So that's the concluding survey. Again, all of these sessions were totally free. If you fill this out, you actually get a certificate saying that you completed this session. It's auto-generated as a PDF, and then you're going to get entered into the raffle to win Google, the level 1 Google for Education Certified Trainer level 1 exam vouchers. So if you're someone that's training others, if you're someone that's maybe doing this yourself, you'll have access to those vouchers. Okay, so again, in the chat right there is the concluding survey, and it's available to you. All right. So what I'm trying to start doing, this is one of the first trainings I've done outside of my district itself. And what I'm trying to do is, when I run these trainings, is provide these resources and make them available to you. So in the slide deck that I'm going to drop back in the chat, you're going to have a link in the slide deck to my website, where I'm just going to be throughout the summer. I got no worries at all. Linking these presentations. So again, I'm just going to drop you the link to the website. It's probably the easiest. The link to the website is being put in the chat now. Okay, and you'll have access to this. There's also other trainings where I'm going to be attending or taking part in are going to be listed here. And what I just want to do is just provide all these resources in a really simple manner. And you have, again, the trainings here, you have the training resources, and this is inside this slide deck, which you have access to, has all the sheets and everything. Oh, how we join the GEG? Yes, it depends. Good question. So the question from the chat is, how can we join the GEG? Let me just do that right now here. So I will show you. So that's not how you spell GEG. Google's columns called Google Educator Groups. Now it depends on where you live. So what I just did is I literally just Googled find GEG, find a community. So I'm based, as I was saying in the beginning, I'm based in Canada, but here's where you can find GEG. So here I'm in Canada, we have 3, United States has 59. Let's look at, so in the APAC region, so I know Japan, so where Nate is, they have 54 different GEG groups for different cities. I think it's, the community in Japan is one of the largest. So you have 54 for different cities. You'll be able to see on this map where you live. So let's say you are in Vietnam. So we have the GEG Da Nang is here, and that takes you to their Facebook group. I unfortunately don't have Facebook anymore, but that'll link you to the group, and then you can reach out to them specifically about joining and getting involved with your local GEG and local GEG. Okay, so again, I hope that this was helpful for you. And just we started the day with a funny memes of hair pulling out. I hope some of these functions are gonna make your use of Google Sheets a lot more effective. And the hair, now I didn't really give the full explanation as why I was talking about hair, but me with my students, we have an inside joke this year because I've been teaching virtually all year. They constantly see me like pulling my hair out, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And the joke is that my hair is just disappearing before my eyes because of all the times I'm like, from like trying to figure out how to navigate virtual learning. So when I was putting in the session names, I immediately put it, yeah, no problem at all. So again, here's where you can find me on Twitter. Here's my YouTube channel. This presentation is going to be automatically uploaded up there. My YouTube isn't uploaded all, too much. I'm being completely honest with you. It will be a little bit more this summer, but I am pretty active on Twitter. So again, thank you so much for coming out. That's all for me today. Feel free to reach out and have a lovely rest of your day. And there's a lot of really fantastic sessions happening this weekend as a part of GEG APAC's weekend. And I'm definitely looking forward to catching a bunch of those. So hope you all have a lovely rest of your day and good luck. See you later.